She said that a lot of scholars, especially in the Arab Muslim world, they concentrate mainly during their explanation of the Holy Quran. They concentrate more, they pay more attention about the fact of Asbab and Nuzool, the condition under which certain verses have been revealed. She said, how can we create kind of compromise between what they are trying to enforce on the people and about the beauty and the truth of the Holy Quran?
This is exactly what we have been doing, in fact, here in the Kamal Arab, and also during other question answer sessions. If the Nuzool of Quran, the reasons why a verse of the Quran was revealed, is studied critically from the point of view of the orthodox scholars, you will find it surprising and painfully surprising that in most cases the tradition seems to have been concocted, because it became so popular with the scholars to offer some verses, some reasons why a verse was revealed, that I have seen such traditions who cropped up for the first time 600 years or so after Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, telling the world that this is the reason why this verse was revealed. And when I pursued the line of those who were chained together, in a long, who were linked together in a long chain of narrators, I found many who were of doubtful origin, who may not have existed, or who were condemned by the great scholars as liars and imaginators, liars and given to imagination. So if you thoroughly read all the traditions which are being presented today to the world as depicting or as presenting to us the reasons why a specific verse was revealed, then you come to this state of total confusion. Not total, but to a state of confusion which prevails to a very large degree. And there is no need for such a thing anyway, because the verses of the Quran are not related to a specific time or point in time, but a certain incident. The Quran is for the whole world, and the Quran is for all the times, till the end of the day, till the end of the age, till the end of the world, I mean. So how could an incident having taken place in Arabia due to some Arab customs, etc., could become permanently causative to an injunction of the Quran, when we read it related to that incident? It would not be free from the chains binding to that incident. The chains of that revelation, that revelation will be chained to that particular incident 1400 years ago. So all the people who are to be born later on till doomsday will consider these verses to be only the verses for that time and for those reasons, which may not be applicable to the requirements of the whole world for all the times to come. So it could be helpful only to the people of Arabia at the time of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. There they did not have to go to the books of traditions. They understood the thing, that something happened and an instruction was required, so it came. It should have ended there. It must have served its purpose along the process. But when it comes to the permanent need of the Quran is permanently needed for the whole mankind till the end of the day. That is the end of the world. That is one thing which must be kept in mind when you speak of these so-called reasons why a verse was revealed. Secondly, if that order of revelation was essential and important, why did Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam completely change the order afterwards? The verses which were revealed first were put at the end. The verses which were revealed later were put in the beginning. And not only the order of verses was changed, but also the order of all the surahs or the chapters of the Quran was changed. So that shows that Allah did not want us to get, to remain bound to the so-called reasons why a verse was revealed. A new order was created, which was a permanent order. So when we received that new order of relationship between verses in the surahs from Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, then where is the need for sticking to the old order of revelation? You understand the point? It would be, in fact, detrimental to, in many cases, to our understanding of the continuity of the Quran from the beginning to the end. When you talk of why this verse was revealed, then the order of the present Quran, which we find today, will be disturbed. Something is said in the beginning which was in fact said at the end. Something is said at the end which is in fact said in the beginning. So the whole order of the verses in the chapters will go wrong. So one should forget about the reasons why they were revealed, because they were not the reasons why they were revealed. That is another point which I will come to. The second point which I conclude is this, that the order of the present verses and the chapters of the Quran was completely changed so that it became totally unrelated with the incidents which, according to some scholars, caused these verses to be revealed. They were broken away from those bindings, and Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, under direction from Hazrat Jibreel Islam, completely changed it to a new order. That should be sufficient for us. And in the end, the important thing is that the so-called reasons why a verse was revealed do not go together and they contradict each other. Not only that, but also you find many Israeli traditions find their way into these so-called reasons for revelation, with the result that sometimes the whole reason why a verse was revealed becomes so absurd because of the Jewish traditions finding their way into it that one is amazed. Not at the wisdom of the Quran, of which one should be amazed, of course, but at the lack of wisdom. Because these things do no honor to the Quran. They turn it into a book of Jewish tradition sometimes. So I abhor such things. We do not need them. The Quran stands for itself, by itself. It is completely free of any reasons of why it was revealed. And in the end, the last, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that the Quran was not revealed for any specific reason of the time. It so happened that as it was being revealed, things also happened. So it was not revealed because those things were happening and they demanded it. it was revealed because it had to be revealed for the mankind as such. But it is possible, and I know it seems to have happened, that the revelation was connected by Allah to some incidents which were taking place or which were about to take place. So in that case, there were revelations which had to be made anyway, which was not dependent on an incident, was made only at the time when it correlated with the current things which were going on currently at that time. So it made it more understandable and more natural for the Arabs who saw the revelation and could read in the light of that revelation some of their own behavior and things. That is the only importance for finding out what happened. Otherwise, it's misleading and, as I said, does no honor to the Quran in many places. Another very important thing which must be kept in mind is related to some very important incidents in the history of Islam, to which certain verses of the Quran relate. They may be of a community nature of communal nature, where the whole world of Islam was being influenced by those incidents, or maybe of individual nature, but at the same time, the whole world of Islam was to be influenced at that time and later on as well. There, the Asbab Nuzool question has to be studied with even greater care. For instance, the Battle of Uhud is being referred to in the Holy Quran. Now, the Holy Quran is specific and clear about what happened. If you read Asbab Nuzool, then you might be led to believe in certain things which did not happen, about which the Holy Quran is completely silent. And you may begin to infer different things from what the Quran says. This happens in case of many controversial Asbab Nuzool presented by different scholars. What did Hazrat Abu Bakr do? What did Umar do? What did Hazrat Ali do? The Shia Asbab Nuzool riwayat are so different from those of the Sunnites that instead of the Quran removing confusion, it seems to create confusion. So this is why we have to be very selective and choosy in the verse, in the traditions which apparently claim that this is why these verses of the Quran were revealed at the Battle of Uhud. Forget all of these, and what you see is a very clear picture and a beautiful picture of the conduct of Sahaba, which is exonerated by the Quran itself. The Quran says God forgave them, whatever was done by whosoever. In the end, according to the Quran, everything was fine, everything was all right. God forgave them for some of the goodness which they had been doing before. Now this is the clear, honest, pious picture we receive from the revelation of the Quran. When you go to the Asbab Nuzool, even omitting the contradictions between the Shias and the Sunnites, the reports of each themselves contradict each other and create a very sorry picture of events which are not acceptable. Were they acceptable, the Quran should have mentioned them. Similarly, things pertaining to Al-Badr, things pertaining to Al-Hunayn, things pertaining to Sulh Hudaybiyah, and so on and so forth, they seem to require some traditional support of what was happening. But when you read them without support, the picture which emerges is far clearer than when you go to these traditions we speak of Asbab Nuzool. Yet at the same time, for some extra detail which is not contradictory to the Quran, one may lean upon such traditions, only partially. Some references are given without names. You can go to the traditions for finding those names to fill in the blanks, not to create contradiction, but to support the verdict of the Quran with certain facts which you fill in there, and the whole picture becomes clear. Like at the cave when Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam was migrating, the name of his companion is not mentioned in the Quran. It's not said that it was Abu Bakr. So if reading Asbab Nuzool, we find that it was Abu Bakr, it's well and good, because it fills a blank but does not create a contradiction. So with all these precautions, these Asbab Nuzool should be read. But more than that, at times the so-called Asbab Nuzool are so horrible that they go entirely against the spirit and character of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They should be not only rejected, they should be stamped out. No question of you entertaining them as truth. Like when you read why Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam married the divorced wife of his so-called son, Hazrat Zaid. The traditions in the name of Asbab Nuzool tell you horrid pictures of what was happening, which the Holy Quran contradicts. The Holy Quran is paying tribute to the greatness of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Khatamun Nabiyyin. And the Asbab Nuzool tell you that in fact what was happening, once he went to the house of Hazrat Zaid, and against his own teachings which he received from God, instead of knocking at the door, instead of saying Assalamu alaikum, he just opened the door and rushed in, while Hazrat Zainab was unfortunately not properly dressed. Now, having done that, instead of returning, saying istighfar, he, according to this tradition, imagine, fell in love with Hazrat Zainab. What a shocking image of Muhammad Rasulullah which is being created. And they call it Asbab Nuzool. So it's not for nothing that I'm against Asbab Nuzool. Sometimes I hate them because they create a wrong picture of my beloved Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. So don't go by the name of the books which give these traditions. Go by the Quran and the honor of the Quran and the honor of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah and his conduct. Everything will fall in step if you stick to these values. Any tradition which is against, reject it, throw it out as false and wrong. So this is the last page which I wanted to add about the Asbab Nuzool. Thank you.